How you doing?
I'm good. Welcome to Let's Rock.
Okay.
How are things?
Good. I'm in Long Island right now. I'm staying at my cousin's house. I'm leaving in a half hour to go back to the studio. I'm in the studio with Cactus the last 3 days. We're slowly doing another album. We have 7 tracks down. We're going to put the bass down on the last 3 tracks that we had that we just wrote like a couple of days ago. And yesterday we did some overdubs and singer Jimmy Coons came down and we're working on vocals. And yeah, it's funny because the new guitar player we have was from Detroit as well. You know, Jim McCarty was our original guitar player. He was with Detroit and Detroit Wheels and all that. And this guy, Paul Warren, played with Rod Stewart for 14 years. He played with Tina Turner, Joe Cocker. But his first introduction, one of the first introductions to the music business was him playing on the Temptations, Papa's Like a Rolling Stone, you know, that song?
Wow.
So with him playing that, being on that session, and, you know, and he played like the wah-wah part, I think, you know?
Yeah.
And the lead part. So we started fooling around on the last year when we did some gigs. We started fooling around with him, you know, with us doing that song. You know, we put it in the set, kind of. You know, we mixed it up. We were doing a song from our latest album, you know, and then we went from that song into Papa's Like a Rolling Stone, and the audience loved it. And then after we finished, we told the story of why we're doing it, because it was the first big session that our guitar player, Paul Warren, ever played on. You know, so then we started doing these songs, a new record. We said, you know what? I said, why don't we record it? You know, we'll do a Cactus version of it like we did, you know, what's that song? Can't Judge a Book or Parchment Farm. You know, we did Cactus versions of it.
Right.
You know, so we've been working on that, and we have 6 other new songs. So I'm going to the studio today this is the last day. And Paul lives in Nashville, so he comes in, spends 3 days, and so we're going to have 7 tracks down. And we're going to, probably another couple of months, we'll do more next month or whatever, you know, we'll schedule 3 days and come in and we do it, you know.
When was the last Cactus album?
When was it?
Yeah.
2016, I believe. It was called Black Dawn. Yeah, because the label was a new label. It was a leftover from Fuel Records, which, you know, released a bunch of other stuff for me. And they did okay, but Black Dawn, he sort of, I don't know what happened. He sort of fell asleep at the wheel. You know?
Oh, no.
You know, but it did okay. I mean, we sold a few thousand copies, you know, but people that bought it really liked it. Next year's Cactus 50th anniversary, so we're going to put together some cool packages and vinyls and all that stuff with Rhino and different people. Yeah, 50 years ago was Cactus. Unbelievable.
That's incredible to think about.
It is incredible. I mean, I've been in the business 52 years now.
Come on.
In July, it'll be 52 years when I first had my hit single. And now, you know, I haven't been on the charts in ages, but my career's still going. You know?
It's pretty impressive. 52 years. I can't believe that.
Yeah, then, you know, it was 1967, July, we hit the charts with You Keep Me Hanging On with Vanilla Fudge. It's on the Ed Sullivan Show in February 68. You know? Yeah, that's ridiculous. It was 50 years for that in February of last year. You know, but yeah. So then the Guitar Zeus record, you know, these records I'm just releasing, I actually released them around the world, except everywhere except here, in 95 and 97. You know.
That's right. That's 25 years ago too.
Yeah, that's 25 years. You know, and that I can't even think of. That feels like yesterday. You know.
You know, I have a ton of questions about the Guitar Zeus album. I listened to the full thing last night.
Right.
You know, your press release basically said this is something that's never been done before, and holy crap, that was so right, man. I've never heard anything like this before. How did this come about?
It's impressive. Well,
25 years ago.
Well, I was playing, 25 years ago, grunge was king, right?
Right.
So in '82, I did a solo album. In '92, by the time '92 came, I was still trying to get a second solo album deal. I hadn't gotten it at that point. And I was playing with Jeff Watson, Bob Daisley, and Joe Turner. But in those days, guys like that were just dinosaurs, because the grunge thing was king. Nobody even wanted to know about us. So we were trying to find a name for the band. We used the name Zeus. We used this or that, and we ended up with Mother's Army. And then I noticed that Jeff Watson came out of Night Ranger, and even in that climate, he got a solo deal. And I said, man, this is ridiculous. What do I got to be, a guitar player to come out of a band? And I just came out of, I was playing with Edgar Winter, and I was doing, Ted and Rod and Blue Murder, all that stuff. But I couldn't get a solo deal. I said, maybe I should be a guitar player. I said, maybe I should do a guitar album. I'll get some of my friends to play on it. I'll call it Guitar Gods. And I said, no, I'll call it Guitar Zeus. And I was kidding around, Then when I went to bed that night, you know how when you lay in bed and your mind just won't shut off,
Yeah.
I started thinking, this is a good idea. If I can get some, big name friends of mine play, on my solo album and call it Guitar Zeus, get, write, some really killer songs. I asked Tony Franklin to play on it because I love playing with Tony. So I had the idea was implanted. Now it was like I had to focus and I had to move along and get the deal and find somebody to put a deal together. In 93 or 4, 93 maybe. When was it? 94, I think it was. Blue Murder was big in Japan, and we released the second Blue Murder album in Japan. It went platinum. So we were going to go do a Carmine Appice Super Session Volume 2. So I did one in '82 when I came out of Rod Stewart. I played in Japan with a Super Session. Me and Rick Derringer, Tom Peterson from Cheap Chick, Eric Carmen, and Dwayne Hitchings. We played a lot of big gigs. So this time they asked me to do one, and I did one, and I put together everybody with a guitar player. And I was trying to find a guitar player, and I heard about this guy, Doug Aldrich, who was not known in America, but he was known in Japan. So when I found him, he said, well, you got to talk to my manager. So his manager is Warren Wyatt. So Warren lives in Seattle now, but at the time he lived in L.A., and he said, well, Doug can't go, so we'll have to get somebody else. And I said, I got a question for you. I have this concept for an album, and I need someone to put it together. What do you think? And I told him the idea. He said, I could put this together. He said, I can get a record deal for this. Because, guys were telling me, you need to go get a letter from Ted Nugent or Brian May. Because in the interim of the 2 years that I was looking for someone to do the deal, I was running into guitar players and friends of mine, asking them if they'd play on. I asked Brian, I asked Ted Nugent, I asked the guys from King's X, and a couple other guys here and there. And they said, yeah. So the guy's telling me, we'll get a letter from them, and maybe with that we can get a record deal. So I'm not going to go ask Brian May for a letter. Please play him that he's going to play on my album so I can get a record deal. That's embarrassing, So this guy said, I can do this deal out of Japan, not a problem. And he did. He got first album deal, second album deal. Then we went to Europe, got a deal in Europe, and got publishing deals in all these places, everywhere but America, because America was all grunged out,
Right.
But we used like as a model Soundgarden, Blue Murder, and the Beatles. That was the sound of the album, wouldn't you say?
Very 60s vibe. A lot of the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it had that really heavy, bass and drum sound from the grunge era, and the
right.
Blue Murder, the improvising and the jamming of Blue Murder kind of stuff. Anyway, he put the deal together, and I spent $100,000 doing that first record.
Wow.
And then my thoughts were, I'll get Brian first, then I'll get Ted, and I'll get the two guys from King's X. In the mid-90s, they were still very well respected by all of the other musicians.
Right.
So in order to draw in people, guitar players, if I got those guys on there, I thought it would draw people in, and it did. And then before I know it, I heard Yngwie wanted to play on it. He wanted to play on the track with Doug Pinnick, and then Slash heard about it, and we called him, and he wanted to do it. Then we got Paul Gilbert, and then we got, On the first album, we got all those guys, Steve Moss and Neil Schon, and everybody in those days was not really happening. You know, Brian wasn't with Queen. Neil Schon wasn't with Journey. Steve Moss just joined Deep Purple. You know, who else did I mention? The guys in King's X were, guys in King's X were sort of happening, you know, but they didn't become legendary until later,
right?
You know, and then even like on the second album, guys like Zakk Wylde was a sideman to Ozzy, you know, Dweezil Zappa was just Frank's son, did because I knew Frank and he just passed away, you know, not long before that, you know, and so all these guys were like happening. So I did really well around the world, in Japan and Europe. You know, out of America, I sold, with the two albums, I sold maybe 150,000 units. You know, that's when you actually bought albums again, yeah. You know, like in Japan, it was on the Burn charts at number 8, first album. The second album went up to probably top 10 as well. In Europe, I sold 50,000 in Europe. I did a promotion tour. I was there for like 3.5, 4 weeks, going all over Europe. You know, doing radio and television, print interviews, and it, you know, really sold a record, you know.
Yeah.
But I never got it out here. Finally, in 2005, I put it out with a European label. As soon as it came out, they went out of business. The only thing they did was put it up on iTunes and put it up on YouTube, and then they went out of business. Yeah. So there was no promotion, so nobody knew about it. Then I put it out again a few years later with the label Fuel again, and he put a double album out, and again, no advertising, so nobody knew about it. So lately, I've been working with this Primary Wave company, which is an internet social media company that handle, like right now they're handling the Kiss tour, they handle Def Leppard, Scorpions. They were doing me and my brother's album a year and a half ago. And then I told the guy Robert about this, and he said, you should re-release it again. He said, because all these guys are happening now.
They're all
Queen
back,
is huge again. Yeah, Journey, you know, Zakk Wylde, I mean, Dweezil Zappa, everybody's happening, you know. And you became more of a legendary guy now. He said, this is a great time to release it, but don't give away the digital rights because iTunes is going out of business, and it's only going to be streaming and physicals, you know, some CDs and mostly vinyl. It's great. So I was putting deals together for catalog stuff of mine, and nobody wanted to buy this without the digital rights. So I have a small label called Rocker Records, so I put it out physically for the CD, and the vinyl is being made now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I put it out as well on digital, you know, because what he told me was on all those streaming things, the only ones that make any money is the label, so you should be your own label. I said, okay, so that's what we did. So that's why you have 32 tracks on the Spotify and everything, you know, and then you have 32 tracks. Now we're just changing it to Volume 1 and Volume 2 on iTunes because it's ridiculous. You buy 32 tracks for $9.95. That's ridiculous.
It's insane. Yeah.
Yeah. So we broke it up to 2, Volume 1 and Volume 2, and then we got physical on a CD. There's 12 tracks, and there's gonna be 8 tracks on the vinyl. And if it goes well, you know, we're gonna we'll do like a box set of make it all vinyl, a vinyl box set, maybe 3 CDs as well. You know, put it out maybe in a year. But, you know, so I've been doing interviews and promoting. I'm going to do a record release thing in New York on March 6th in conjunction with a band I'm producing, which is like with Greta Van Fleet is to Led Zeppelin. My group Kodiak is to Van Halen, you know.
Oh, sweet.
So they're a young band. The guitar player just turned 17.
Wow.
And the oldest is 22. You know, and they're really good. So we're going to do like a showcase for them and a release party for my guitarists in New York. So and then we're going to give some money to like St. Jude's Hospital as well from that gig.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You know, and I'm thinking I think I might do this in other cities too. You know, just put together like a release party. You know, with some meet and greet, release party and storytelling, because telling the story of how I got everybody on this record is an incredible story. I can't even believe it myself.
Well, that's what I kept thinking when I was listening to it. You know, you go from Paul Gilbert to Slash to Steve Morse, all these guys. How, did you record these live with them, or did you send them the song?
Well, everybody was different. But back in those days, I recorded everything on 24 track. So for Brian May, I made a slave. I sent him a copy of the whole song. First, I sent him some I don't know how I did that. I think we just mailed him some copies of songs, like on a cassette, so he could listen to it and pick the one he wanted to do. So once he got the one he wanted to do, then I made a slave, 24 track, and I sent the FedEx to him. It cost like $100 to go to England.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Steve Morse, made him a slave. And with Ted Nugent and Yngwie, I actually flew to Florida and I got Yngwie live. I even filmed him. I got him on a video somewhere. I don't even know where it is. I moved 3 times in houses, so it's in a box somewhere.
Oh, jeez.
And right now it's sitting in a locker in L.A. because I'm selling the 3rd house now.
Oh, no.
Actually, the 4th house. So I went down, I did that with Yngwie, and then I played on one of his tracks as a favor, right?
Right.
And then I went and got Ted, and Ted was funny. I filmed him too, and I got him playing the song, and he's got a pistol, on a holster in his belt behind him. Yeah, it's pretty funny.
That doesn't surprise me.
That's what I mean. Yes, I could tell some funny stories about the album, And then I went to Houston and I got Ty and Doug Pinnick. Now, Yngwie wanted to sing on the track with Doug Pinnick, and that was the other cool thing about it. Mick Mars wanted to be on the track with Edgar Winter. That's like an odd couple, Edgar Winter and Mick Mars, But he wanted to do that, and then I tried to get everybody to play. Not everybody, but some people to play a little different. Like what I got back from Brian was 2 tracks of solos, and he played a rhythm. And both solos were really good, but one solo was a wah-wah and one wasn't. And I said, you know what? Nobody ever heard Brian just whip off a wah-wah solo without. His solos were always structured,
right.
Like classical. And this was like a Brian May playing like a bluesy wah-wah solo. I said, this is cool. I'm going to use the wah-wah solo, And then, like, when Mick Mars did it, I said, Mick, you play slide? He goes, yes. Why don't you play slide on this track? Because nobody else on the whole record played slide. He said, okay. So we got Mick to play slide, and he's on with Edgar Winter. So cool stuff like that,
That's fantastic.
And then Yngwie even played bluesier than he normal plays.
I noticed that. It didn't sound like typical Yngwie.
Exactly. And everybody that played was a little different. Even Neil Schon, Neil Schon, whenever he played with Journey, his solos were very melodic, and melody, a lot of melody. But on this album, he just wails, He just really screams on it. He was on the on guitars, just 1 and 2. So was Ted, and so was Ty from King's X, and they're the only doubles on 32 tracks. I have 2 doubles, 3 guys, so 6 tracks. So actually I have 26 tracks of a guitar player on each track. It's crazy.
That's wild. I
got Steven Seagal and
right?
You're right. He was on 2 also.
Yeah, just going through the list right here. He was on Where You Belong, where we changed the arrangement. We added a keyboard, made it more gospel. Right.
Changed the vibe on that song. And Flash was on the original one. When Flash came in, we thought, he was the band. Guns N' Roses reminded me of like a 60-ish kind of band, like the Yardbirds or something, So when he came in, we had candles going and incense going and a bottle of Jack.
It would have been fantastic to have been there, to be a fly on the wall to watch these guys. It would have been amazing.
Yeah, well, like I said, I did video this stuff. I just got to find the videos. Maybe eventually, by the time we do the box set, I'm moving to Florida. I would have moved to Florida, and I'll look at the videos and find them and transfer them to digital and maybe put something together, just the making of it. And I don't think I could sell it, because I don't have the rights to that. do a video. But I could use it for promotion, maybe,
Yeah.
But it was really an amazing thing, A lot of the guys did it, like Paul Gilbert did it with an ADAT, and there's a couple of Japanese guys, because I did Guitar Zeus Japan as well, which is Japanese guys, but they had some of the old songs and some new songs on it. And I remember when I went there, I was working with the engineer, and I had a pile of 24 tracks, that I would have had to, make a slave of, like, at least to do the whole record. I would have had to take, 3 24 tracks to Japan, and they weigh a lot,
Yeah.
And he said, "What would you want to do? Take those 3 or 4 24 tracks, or this ADAT?" And he took the ADAT and he put it right in his pocket in his jacket. That had all the songs on it.
Wow.
I said, "I think I'll take the ADAT."
Yeah, makes sense. Absolutely.
So we took the ADAT and then we lined it up. And when I came back, we put everything from the ADAT and dumped it onto 24 track, and then we mixed it on that album on Radar, which is another version of an electronic Pro Tools kind of thing, but it sounds better than Pro Tools. Yeah, so it was quite an extravaganza of doing all these different in between. And then I did a Guitar Zeus Korea the same way.
I noticed that, and I was going to ask you about that because I lived in Korea for a bunch of years.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
I never heard about it there.
Korea. I went to. It was in 2001. When did you live there?
I was living there then. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it sold well there. For Korea. I mean, if you sell like more than 5,000 records in Korea for international artists, you're doing all right. I think we sold 6,000 or 7,000. Yeah, and it came with the CD and a T-shirt. Yeah, so it's really wild. But anyway, so it's been a real good series of, that really, did well for me. Like when I go to Europe and play in Europe, I sign Guitar Zeus records. Over here, I don't see any because, we never really sold over here. So now, we just finished a 6-7 week radio promotion. I still got Ann Layton still working on PR. And, we're going to start doing some ads now on online ads. And, we're still working it, I'd like to play a gig. As I found the gig that we did at the NAMM show that had me, Tony Franklin, Kelly Keeling, the bass group. Then we had Ty and Doug from King's X. We had John Norum. We had Jennifer Batten and Doug Aldrich. And we played at the NAMM show in like 96, I think it was. And people loved the songs, and the songs played so good. I said, man, how could I get this thing out to play now? But I can get it out to play, but not with named guitar players.
Wow, that's a problem. Yeah.
But, yeah. So I said, well, maybe we should do, later in the year when it gets warmer, do like a charity gig in New York and L.A. Give money to St. Jude's Hospital or something, and Children's Hospital, and bring in some named guys to play with us.
Yeah.
So,
oh, that would be amazing. I mean, all these guys are back. It's like you said. That would be a huge draw,
Yeah. I don't anticipate getting Brian or people at that level now because they're really busy with their own thing,
Sure.
But, I might be able to get guys like Doug Aldrich or maybe Jennifer Batten, maybe Ty Tabor from King's X, and Pat Travis, just on that level,
Right.
Still be a good show, and then we'll probably play like a 600-700 seat theater, somewhere in New York, somewhere in LA, and do that, and it would be a good promotion, for the album, and I always love giving this stuff to charities. I don't really care about me getting paid for it. I just like to do it. I'm at a point in my career where I get enough royalties and pensions and everything else that I'm okay.
Right.
I'm just playing out to keep playing, to have fun, as long as I can keep playing.
Just throwing this out there, was Vanilla Fudge the first jam band?
I think Vanilla Fudge and Cream might have been the very first jam band, but we were right doing similar stuff right at the same time,
Yeah.
Because we had our jams within our arrangements, They
right.
had their jams from beginning to end. You know, they just start a song, they do 2 verses, and then they go into a jam. We'd have big intros that left room for jamming within the intros, and then we do the song, and then there'd usually be some sort of solo that ended up being a jam. You know, not as long a jam as the Cream did, but they were jamming. And Hendrix was there too, doing that. You know, so I'd say the 3 of those bands were mostly jamming. You know, where guys like the Who weren't really jam bands. You know, they never really did. Their solos were power chord solos. You know.
Sure.
And you know, so it was really those 4 bands were the ones that were influenced people, and you know, back then a lot, you know, from the musical aspect. I mean, the Doors were there. They didn't. I don't think the Doors really influenced musicians, individual musicians. You know, where like the Cream, the Fudge, and Hendrix, and well, because we were all like really top of the line in those days of what we were doing. You know. Right. With the singing, you know, and everything, you know. The Doors only had Jim Morrison, you know, the lead singer. Robbie was a good guitar player, and, you know, and Ray played the left-hand bass with the Farfisa, you know, which wasn't really my cup of tea, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and John Densmore was okay, you know, but you know, guys like Mitch Mitchell and Ginger Baker, you know, Keith Moon, they're innovative, you know.
You ever get to jam with any of those guys back in the day?
Yeah, I jammed with Jack Bruce. I did jams with Jack Bruce. We jammed with Led Zeppelin. Jeff Beck, of course. I jammed with Santana. You know, jammed with Hendrix.
You jammed with Hendrix?
Yeah. Jimmy was Jimmy James in New York. He was playing all the clubs. I used to play clubs with him, opposite him, with my band. You know, and then. When it became Jimi Hendrix, we used to hang out at the Scene in New York. Everybody used to jam together, and then we'd go to the record plant. And Jimmy always had the record plant time. You know, he was around the corner. We go there, and we continued jamming at the record plant. Yeah, definitely jammed with him as well.
Seems like it was a much more friendly scene back then.
It wasn't a business.
It was just playing because he wanted to play.
Yeah, it was everybody doing the thing. Everybody had a record deal. We all released records. Everybody went on the road. It wasn't like, you know, now. You know, we all got airplay on the underground stations, and which was the new thing. So
different world.
Good.
Yeah, well, as long as you're still going and you're still keeping the beat, you know.
Yeah, I'm still going, and my next things that I'm working on getting into is motivational speaking. You know, on how I stayed in the music business, you know, with the ups and downs and the ins and the outs, you know, for 52 years. For 50, you know, it was like 52 years, yeah. And also, like, I do like a rock history speech. And that's my next endeavor. And while I'm, you know, still releasing records and still playing, you know, Vanilla Fudge is still playing, Cactus is still playing. We're just doing the Cactus record now, you know, and you know, everything is still going. And you know, it's just you know, maybe I'm not going up or down, but I'm pretty much on the same level, you know. So I keep making the same kind of money, you know, the same kind of gigs, and, you know, do 40, 50 gigs a year, and I'm good with that. And I do, like, real estate on the side, so I always love real estate. So I do that on the side, and I'm having a good time.
I just wanted to mention, I have recently become a big fan of Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I just wanted to mention to everyone listening to this, you just did a new song with him. Yeah.
And that song happened by finding the tape and realizing that we never released it. So I digitized it, listened to it, and I realized there was everything on there except a guitar player, you know, a named guy. So I asked Ron if he would do it. He said, yeah, because he's, you know, we've been friends for a while. He said, yeah, definitely. So he did it. It's like I owe him a couple of favors. You know, he did it, and then he went on tour with Sons of Apollo, and I needed more guitar work. So my engineer, Stevie D, you know, is a guitar player, so I had him put some heavier guitars, like on the riff part.
Right.
And then at the end, you hear like some guitar fills are on the left and on the right, because on these Guitar Zeus records, I tried to put ear candy like the Beatles would do, you know.
Okay.
All kinds of, you know, radio voices and different sounds on this and that, and so I had him put some guitar fills. I said to make it, different than Bumblefoot. Bumblefoot was down the middle of the mix. I said, why don't we do your guitar fills, put them on the right and the left, so you do a fill on the left and one on the right, one on the left, one on the right, and then he continues the solo down the middle at the end, and I said, that way, you can really identify who you are and who he is,
Right.
So we did that, and the song came out great, really came out great. And, and it's still
fantastic, yeah.
The sound of it is still now, and the message is still now. We're still killing our earth.
Well, yeah, that's not going to stop for a while, unfortunately.
Yeah, but it's so he did a great job, and he gave me a quote for the record,
Yeah,
and,
he's a great guy. I've talked to him a few times.
He's a nice guy.
All right, thank you so much for your time.
Okay, man.
All right.